What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the bar. Your favorite bartender Dan here with another video, and today we're going to be talking about My Hero Academia Vigilantes Chapter 82. Now, this chapter was absolutely wild, and to be quite honest, my last review, I was wrong about some things. So we're going to be going over those parts where I slipped up, and as always, we're going to be going over the chapter. So, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. The word on the YouTube streets is that sometimes subbing isn't enough, and if you don't hit the bell, you won't be notified of a new upload because YouTube. So without further ado, let's get out of the rain and hit up the bar, shall we? Okay, so the chapter starts off exactly where it ended, with Koichi diving to save Popstep. It kind of looks like in a moment of desperation, Koichi flew. Granted, it was probably just, him using his propulsion to kind of fly at Popstep, but I mean, come on, look at it. It kind of looks like he flew. I mean, in general, the way that his propulsion is acting in this chapter, the mastery of slide and glide is there. We're learning what Koichi has certainly done over the past 3 years of this time skip. He's moving like a hero, and my favorite development is that Koichi has now learned to land. So when he reaches the ground, number 6 approaches him. Koichi asks the man standing in front of him if he's a hero, and if he could, just let him by because Popstep really requires special attention at this point. And on top of that, she's kind of been shot. The hero smiles at Koichi and says that he knows that she's been shot because he's the one who capped her, and he calmly states that it was a drug that controls the bees. Koichi was wide-eyed at first, but now he's like, oh, okay, this random hero actually helped the situation. And at the same time, number 6 is also kind of commiserating about, the whole situation with Popstep to Koichi. When suddenly, number 6 puts on a domino mask, and he begins like a villainous monologue that feels very like, Reverse Flashy. Like how when the Reverse Flash does the whole, Barry, everything that I did was orchestrated from the beginning. You leaving your door open and your dog getting hit by a car, you falling down the stairs and breaking your leg, it was all me. That was like the kind of monologue that I was getting from number 6 kind of doing this to Koichi. He literally states that, what if there was a villain manipulating Popstep from the shadows? And Koichi at this point really isn't paying attention to number 6 until his hand begins to mutate. He looks at Koichi dead in the face and says, you are the villain that's manipulating Popstep, and O'Clock 2 will be the one to put the end to the Naruhata Vigilante, and that he himself will beat Koichi to a pulp with his fists of justice. In typical psychopathic fashion, 6 rants asking Koichi if he nailed the monologue properly, and that there's 2 reasons why he's even doing this typical villain monologue. The first one being, in general, every hero needs an arch nemesis, and the second one being, well, he's stalling Koichi. The drug needs time to activate. What we find out right here and now is that when she was shot, she wasn't shot by an ordinary bullet, which I'll take the L for. She didn't really get capped in the chest. And secondly, she wasn't shot with trigger, she was shot with a pheromone that tells the bees to self-destruct. Suddenly, overwhelming amounts of explosions begin to trigger. Koichi weaves in and out of these explosions and resolves that he still needs to meet up with Soga and the others, because now Popstep is a literal time bomb that needs to be defused. The self-proclaimed O'Clock 2 appears atop a building, watching Koichi dodge the explosions. The thing is, the explosions are spreading inadvertently because of Koichi moving around. It's unavoidable, but Naruhata is being destroyed because of it. Also, if Compass Kid is actually dead, it'll be the casualty of Popstep and not Koichi. So while it was a spur-of-the-moment murder for number 6, he still has the upper hand in framing the 2 heroes. I'm still holding out for Compass Kid to be the one who saves Koichi though. You guys know my rant, I won't do it again. Either way, what we're calling him now, O'Clock 2, is standing atop the building and states that when the time is right, he will swoop in and take out Koichi. In turn, he creates the heartbreaking debut of O'Clock 2. Upon the death of Popstep, he's gonna forge the cross that he's gonna bear for the rest of his career, not letting anything ever happen like this ever again. We see him state to himself that the people will eat this shit up with a spoon, and people will become instant fans of him. Number 6 then states that comes later though, because unfortunately, number 6 did something wrong. He's constantly underestimating Koichi. This is Koichi fucking Himawari, the Naruhata Vigilante known as the Crawler. So, number 6 takes off after him in Gran Torino fashion, because Koichi shows off that these past 4 years, he hasn't just been futzing around. In fact, he actually notices number 6 encroaching on him to number 6's surprise. Number 6 then cocks back and states that it's only gonna take 1 punch anyway when he realizes something. He can't keep up. That's right, Koichi's force fields around his feet are changing. Koichi then triggers his extra oomph and dodges the explosion from number 6. And as number 6 dusts himself off in Shigaraki fashion, he calls Koichi a cheater and saying, boosting your speed in the last moment isn't cool, that's cheating. He states that an attack from above, it's not going to work on Koichi. He's ready for him. So, attacking him straight up absolutely isn't going to work either because the dude with the acceleration quirk can't keep up with Koichi's spontaneity. He resolves that the only thing that's going to kill Koichi at this point is an assassination, when suddenly we get a close-up of number 6's eyes. The hero horn has begun to sound again. Incoming number 6, here comes Endeavor. The next page that we get, Endeavor is fucking pissed, and with the final words of the chapter being, cooldown's over, the chapter ends. Whew! That was a chapter. So a few things we have to talk about before we part ways today. First of all, I want to address number 6 coming out as O'Clock 2. We've seen heroes in this universe take on the names of their predecessors, particularly the Ida brothers. I think that after this, it could be quite possible that Koichi takes over the name because number 6 tried to besmirch the name of his master. That also would be pretty cool if people actually, start calling Koichi by his hero name because he takes on the name of such an iconic hero at the time. Secondly, the big thing that I want to talk about is the growth of Koichi. In the beginning of this manga, he was just a normal person that had the idea of maybe wanting to be a hero every now and then. 4 years later, we get to see Koichi as a total competent hero. Like, in his fight against number 6 today, he had the upper hand the entire time. There was not one moment where I thought, wow, Koichi is actually in danger here. I mean, number 6 really tried to kill Koichi here today, and he failed with flying colors. Also, I do have to shout out the fact that number 6's hands do look like the Infinity Gauntlet. Either way, we're going to talk about the end of the chapter mostly, so Endeavor finally returning to the fray. Now, depending on how far Koichi got trying to dodge the explosions, he could be close to Soga and the boys, or he could be close to the Hata brothers and the rest of the citizens of Naruhata, all of which would definitely go to bat for the Vigilantes. At this rate though, they've moved further away from Tsukauchi, so the odds of him being in the fray at the end are kind of unlikely unless he catches up. And if Popstep does make it out okay, Makoto's quirk is gonna come in handy to exonerate her from any wrongdoing that's happened. Koichi, on the other hand, he has to deal with Endeavor, and at this point, Endeavor is the type of dude that will lock up anybody, and frankly, he would probably have no problem with killing somebody if they were a villain going out of control. We've seen that with Hawks that heroes in general really don't have a problem killing in this universe. Also, let's not think of Endeavor as a blithering idiot here. Despite his rage and his attitude right now, he was able to decipher that code from Hawks about the Meta Liberation Army. So, when Endeavor arrives on scene and sees a guy that's going by the name O'Clock 2, will he remember that O'Clock was his senior when he went to UA? I think number 6's plan is about to go up in flames. Literally. If somebody like O'Clock lost their quirk, it would probably be news amongst the hero community. The whole thing about this universe is that only a certain select amount of people actually know that All for One exists. This is because of how much of a true shadow villain he has been over the hundreds of years. As for what I think might happen in the next chapter, I genuinely don't have a theory besides the one that I've been kind of harping on, because right now they're in the midst of a battle, and to predict what's going to happen when the fight is reaching its climax is kind of hard to do. I will say that I do think it's safe to say that there's more than 2 chapters of My Hero Academia Vigilantes left, but if you had to pull a theory out of me today, I'm sticking to my guns that Endeavor is going to chase down Koichi. And when he's cornered, he'll have to be saved by the citizens of Naruhata, who will tell Endeavor that this is the guy that saves Naruhata because you won't bother with the little things that the crawler does, and that the city of Naruhata has its hero, Endeavor. It doesn't need you. While on the other hand, I think number 6 could quite possibly face off against Knuckle Duster or Soga and the boys. Koichi has demonstrated in this chapter that if he didn't have to save Popstep, Koichi would have made short work of the fake hero. Also, if Endeavor shows up, he's gonna take the glory away from number 6, so number 6 won't get his, tragic origin that he wants. So I think that maybe Endeavor might get taken out by number 6 if, he's not expecting him to hit him. But my whole thing is, if this does play out the way that I'm just laying it out right now, how does Koichi get exonerated from the killings that have occurred by number 6? By the end of this arc, it's going to be proved that number 6 was the architect of this plan, and he was the person that tried to kill a bunch of heroes during the Sky Egg debacle. Who it'll be though? I don't know. The accuser has to be a person that's objective to the crawler, and beyond that, there has to be another person to corroborate the story. So that could either be Tsukauchi or maybe Knuckle Duster because he has the credibility of being an ex-hero. There's a few more situations brewing in my head. I mean, for all we know, next chapter, this narrative could explode. And for all we know, they could already be in front of the Hot Bros Cafe with 2 next-level villains could walk out and be like, yo, not only is the Crawler a good guy, but the dude that you're fighting with right now is the guy that kidnapped us and mutated our quirks against our will. I just have a lot of random thoughts upon reading this chapter, and I gotta put them down on paper before I elaborate anymore. But the next chapter, or chapter 84, is going to be huge. The 4th anniversary of Vigilantes is coming, and who knows what's gonna happen. But if you have an idea about what you think might happen, or if you want to rag on me that thinking Popstep actually got shot in the chest, comment down below or reach out to me on Twitter at Dan Exclaims. I try to stay active on there, but I usually end up just posting dank memes and complaining about New Jersey. Other than that though, wash your friggin' hands, wear a mask, and try to stay sane despite all the chaos in the world. I'm out of here. Peace.